Hi guys, welcome to another vlog. So let's make today's vlog a Q&A. I've got a few questions from students that I want to address. So let's take the first question, which has come from Aisha from Sharjah, the UAE. So Aisha says that she has taken the GMAT and she has a score of 690. Okay, that's a good score. And she has a 3 in AWA. Okay, that's a problem. The question she has is, should she retake the GMAT because she understands that 3 is a low score in the AWA? So should she retake the GMAT? That's very strange. I mean, you haven't provided me more details as to why you got a 3. Because in my experience, normally, even people who score badly on the overall test end up getting a 5 or a 5.5 on the AWA. Very, very rarely have I seen anybody go below 4. So if you went below 4, I'm assuming it's only because you had no idea what you had to do on the essay. You maybe did not prepare at all for the essay. Or you wrote a very short essay, because otherwise you couldn't have got a 3. In any case, now you have got a 3, so what do? Should you retake? Now you see, had your score not been very good, I would have said retake. For example, had you been at 650, 640, would have made sense to retake because your score could also go up. But at a 690, I don't think it's a good idea to retake. Because for all you know, your essay score goes up and the rest of the score goes down. Then what do? But you also cannot leave this matter unaddressed. It's definitely a problem and you definitely need to address it. So what I suggest, Aisha, you do is use the optional essay. Every school provides you an optional essay. So use the optional essay to explain why this 3 is not an accurate reflection of your writing skills. So you can use other examples from your background. Maybe at work you prepare reports, so that can substantiate the fact that you are good at writing. Or maybe you've done some other writing work, you've got some papers published, you wrote some articles in some magazine, whatever it is, and preferably whatever you can back up with some credible proof. Put those things in the optional essay and just try to explain why that 3 is not a fair reflection of your writing ability or the lack of your writing ability. I think that should work because you have a 690. Again, you haven't given me your breakup as to how much you got in verbal, but I'm assuming you were around 35, 36. So again, that should kind of, assuage any fears that the ADCOM may have about your lack of verbal skills. So address this matter in the optional essay. I don't think you need to retake the GMAT again. So that's my answer for you, Aisha. Okay, so let's go to another question now. This question has come from Belinda, who's writing from New York City. Okay. So Belinda says that she's been preparing for the GMAT for about 2.5 months now. And the one thing that she's particularly struggling with are assumption questions on critical reasoning. She says she's good with strengthen and weaken questions, but it's assumption that she gets wrong a lot of the times. So how should she address this problem? Belinda, I'll tell you, you have a funny problem, which a lot of people have, by the way. And the thing that makes it funny is that you are struggling with assumptions, but you are doing well on strengthen and weaken questions, which are actually nothing but assumption questions. Strengthen, weaken, flaw, evaluate, all these are just different forms of assumption questions. So if you are getting strengthen and weaken questions correct, it basically means that subconsciously you are able to figure out the assumption clearly or correctly. It is just that when you have to speak it out or identify it, that's when you start to struggle. And one reason for the struggle will be the other options that are given to you along with the correct answer. Especially 1 or 2 options that will actually be inferences. Which is why it's a good idea to first predict an answer, to have an answer in your head as to what you think will be the assumption, and then go to the options. Now it will take a little getting used to. You will have to go back to your basics. Now you haven't written what material you have used to do your basics for critical reasoning, but I'm assuming you've referred to some good books or you've taken a few classes. Whatever it is, just go back to it a little. Go through your evidence, assumption, conclusion, the connection between the 3. Try some very basic questions first, and when you try questions, always make an attempt to predict the assumption. Don't worry about the time, even if it slows you down, that's perfectly okay. But it's a good habit to develop. In some questions, you will not be able to make the prediction. In some questions, even I can't make the prediction. So that's fine. But in 80% of the questions, you will be able to make a prediction. And the moment you start doing that, you will feel much more confident as to your skills on assumption questions. The most important thing for you is, since you're not struggling with strengthen and weaken questions, you are able to identify the assumption correctly. It's just stating it out that's becoming a problem. So go back to your basics, start from there again, and I'm sure you will see an improvement. Now, if I actually could see some of the assumption questions that you attempted and you've got wrong and what you marked, I would of course be able to give you much better advice. So feel free to send me screenshots of 1 or 2 questions that you attempted and the answer that you marked, and I'll maybe give you a slightly more specific answer. So let's move to another question. This has come from Rajat, who's writing from India, and Rajat says that he has gone through all the Aristotle books and he likes the books. Great. The question he has is, what other material should you use now? Okay, that's a very abrupt question. Abrupt because you haven't given me a reason why you want to use more material. Since you are from India, Rajat, I know that students from India have this habit of going on a material collection overdrive. They're never satisfied with what they've done, they want more and more. So if that's the reason you want more material, then you don't need more material. See, what I suggest you do is, I'm assuming you already have the OGs with you, and I'm assuming you've seen my video in which I describe how you should structure your GMAT prep, the material you should use. So you must be having the OGs with you, you have the Aristotle books as you've said. Have you completed both of them? Have you practiced all the questions from the OG? And what has the result been like? So if your accuracy is pretty good, then you should directly start taking a full length test now. Why do you want to practice more? In case your accuracy is not good, again, random practice will not help. Then you need to analyze your error log and you need to figure out which areas are you struggling in. I mean, you have to get specific now. So not like critical reasoning, but what exactly in critical reasoning are you struggling with? Like Belinda just said, she's struggling with assumption questions. So what are you struggling with? So do such an analysis first, Rajat, and then if needed, I'll tell you what other resources you can use for practice. But right now, with the information you've given me, my suggestion is, if you've completed the OG and you've completed the Aristotle books, take a full length test, take GMAT Prep 1. Based on how you perform in that, plan your strategy for the next month or month and a half. But don't go on a material collection overdrive. Please avoid that. So okay, I'll take one more question which has come from Ferdinand from Spain. So Ferdinand writes that he has 9 years of experience. Okay, that's a lot of experience. And he is specifically looking for an executive MBA program. I'm assuming you mean the program that is not full-time, Ferdinand. And not the 1-year MBA, because a lot of people refer to the 1-year MBA as executive MBA, but the 1-year MBA is a full-time MBA. The executive MBA is a program which is not full-time. It's a part-time program spread over 2 or 3 years, where some classes happen over weekends, some happen online. That's basically the program that I think you're talking about, given your work experience. So the question that you have is what? Let me read. So you're looking for an executive MBA, fine. And Ferdinand says he can't handle the GMAT. So he says he's been preparing for around 3 months now, and he's still only around 550, 570 in the practice test. So you haven't mentioned what tests these are, but I'll assume these are GMAT prep tests, Ferdinand. So the question Ferdinand has is, what do I do? Okay, I can't answer that question. I mean, what do you do? I don't know. I mean, that depends on what you've been doing so far. So I have no idea how you've gone about your prep, what material you've used, how is your time management. So I mean, in the absence of all that information, I can't tell you what you can do, but I'll tell you one thing. In case you've prepared properly and after doing your best, you are still getting a 550, 570, and since you are looking at an executive MBA program, there are some schools that give you the option of taking their own test. So instead of the GMAT, you can take the test that is conducted by the school. Now these tests are normally easier and simpler than the GMAT. Of course, they're not adaptive. The schools don't have so much time or the inclination. The one school that I know does it is INSEAD. INSEAD should in any case be the #1 school on your list given your location in Europe and your desire for an executive MBA. INSEAD has a very good executive MBA program spread across 2-3 locations. So look at it, and INSEAD definitely has its own test, which is a slightly simpler version of the GMAT, because I remember about 2-3 years back I had a student who had taken the test and who gave me this feedback that the test was actually simpler than the GMAT. So first, make sure that you've put in your best on the GMAT, and if you're still not getting a good score, then you can explore this option that I've just described to you. So great, I hope you guys found my answers useful, and in case you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to write to me. I shall see you guys day after tomorrow in another vlog. Have a nice evening.